You're up.
All right, welcome to the show, World Soccer Radio on the Sports Byline USA Radio Network. I'm Nick Geber with Danny Page, and today, if you're watching on YouTube,
what's up, man?
We're at the brothel here in Vegas.
Wow, yeah, this is quite a studio you've constructed in Vegas with a fiery red behind us. I can't tell, is that sort of a Liverpool red? Is that a Merseyside color?
It's not really a brothel, folks. We are here in Vegas. We've got kind of a funny location we're doing the show from, but we're going to give it to you nevertheless, because what a day today we've had in the Champions League.
A good one for you. You were happy.
Indeed, indeed. We're going to call today David Moyes a Greek tragedy as United go down 2-0 to Olympiakos Piraeus in Greece.
Olympiakos Piraeus?
That's their actual name.
Is that their proper name?
That is their proper name, Danny.
I've never heard that.
Just like my proper name is Nicholas, not Nick.
I thought you were Nikolai.
No, I'm not.
Are you sure?
All right, 800-878-PLAY, 800-878-PLAY. I'd love to hear from you about what's going on in the Champions League. How do you feel about that? Big matches tomorrow in the Champions League. We can talk about that. We are going to turn our attention a little bit to Major League Soccer today. We are going to be welcoming Marc Sturbans today. Serber, excuse me.
Marc Serber.
Oh, Serber, I'll get it right.
We're opening our...
Hold on, Mr. Marc Serber.
Thank you. We're opening our Major League Soccer previews, and over the next month, leading up to the season and throughout the first couple weeks of the season, we will be previewing every team with a journalist who covers that team, with a TV personality who broadcasts their games, or with a member of that team or their front office. And we start where else but with Chivas USA tonight.
Or we're just going to have my Aunt Mabel call up and pretend to be a correspondent for one of the teams that won't call us back.
You don't really have an Aunt Mabel,
You'll just never know. No, I don't.
No,
but I could. So. I have an aunt in South Africa.
Yeah, hi, we support Vancouver Whitecaps.
I like that Robin Van Persie. Who does he play for?
He doesn't like anybody else, though, and we're going to talk about him today.
Absolutely. So much to talk about today. 800-878-PLAY. By the way, big hello to our men and women in uniform around the world listening on American Forces. Stick with us today, folks. We're going to have a great show. Love it when we have bad Man United days. And, of course, Man United fans, where are you? Let's call in, support your team. All right, if you're listening on
They're
one of the...
going to.
Yeah, and if you're listening on an affiliate station of the Sports Byline Network, it's a pleasure to be with you each and every weeknight, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on this very network. You can find us on TuneIn.com, iHeartRadio.com, or you can see our beautiful mugs in our lovely Vegas location here at YouTube at WatchWSR.com.
That's it.
We'll be back in the studio next week. Actually, Danny's going solo next week.
Yeah.
That's another topic.
We'll talk about that later in the week.
To get to.
We got a lot to
All right, we'll be right back.
Send us a tweet at World Soccer Radio.
We'll be right back after this. Don't go anywhere. All right, welcome back to the show. Did I take it on the dip there, or
I don't know.
I don't know.
You didn't take a dip either, did you?
No, I didn't. Just a pinch between the gum and cheek, and then you get cancer in a hole in your mouth.
It was a hot day today in Vegas, too, by the way. We got into the 80s. I could have taken a dip, man.
Yeah.
All right.
Big partying tonight here at World Soccer Radio headquarters.
It's going to be a wild one.
Yeah. We got all the strippers from Sapphire coming over a little later.
I'm just waiting for you to go to sleep at 9:45, and then the party starts. Then I'm off to Light and Excess and all that good stuff.
Well, I'm going to watch the East Coast feed of Jimmy Fallon. Okay, then I'm going to take my Geritol.
You really do that, don't you?
Then I'm going to take my Geritol, and then I'm out.
Boy, I'll tell you what. If there was some sort of Tonight Show style football show, or if Jon Stewart covered world soccer, I would love to hear what he had to say today about David Moyes and about Man United, because it really, for a Liverpool supporter like yourself, and I know you're not necessarily a vindictive individual.
I am, actually. You're wrong. You're totally wrong.
But I mean, it just gets better.
Why do you think I'm not a vindictive person?
I don't know.
I really am.
I'm just trying to be nice.
I'm the
you're
guy.
like my boss.
I'm the guy that tried to cut the brake lines for the Man United team bus last time I was in England.
It just gets better and better and better for a guy like you. They're 11 points behind your team, who seems to be zeroing in on a title run. They can't score away in Europe to probably the easiest team in the draw. They lose 2-0. I mean, it just gets.
Well, Danny, they couldn't score in a brothel. You know that. They couldn't finish a pint and all the other terms that we use. But look, today I'm going to differ, because today everyone's up in arms. Today is Moyes' Greek tragedy, which is our lower third. If you're watching our video show on YouTube,
that's the graphic at the bottom.
Yeah.
For the rest of you.
But in point of fact, going down 2-0 away from Old Trafford to the current champions of the Greek league, which is crap. We all know that, okay?
And this is not your opinion of like the French league or the Spanish league, because you're a Premier League snob. Like, the Greek league is actually garbage.
It is garbage.
Yeah, it's terrible.
But
MLS is a better league.
But Olympiacos are 20 points clear of the title.
Yeah, they are a good team.
Let me get my 2 cents worth here, because usually my 2 cents is worth about $50.
Yeah, no question.
So they're 20 points clear of the title. This is a team that is winning and playing on confidence. So whether they're a good team, a bad team, a rubbish team, an average team, whatever you want, they believe they can beat anybody because they are beating up on all the other crappy Greek teams in their league.
Yeah, they're terrible.
Man United, on the other hand, are a team that is entirely lacking in any form of confidence whatsoever. So it doesn't matter what the disparity of skill on the team is. And some may question whether there is that much of a disparity of skill. I would argue that if you can look at Man United's current table and their goal differential, they are about where they should be. They are a upper mid-table team in the Premier League right now. Now, no disrespect to Man United fans. I'm going to give you plenty of disrespect in a few minutes now. But that is really where they are. This is a team that has huge, enormous problems. And David Moyes doesn't know how to manage this team. He doesn't know what system to play. He doesn't know how to get the best out of his players. And the players suss this out, and they're not coming to work for him. And that's a serious problem, Danny.
Well, to me, something I feel like once in My Little Pony of world football that I've learned, especially over these last couple of years, is
wait. What did you say?
I said I'm My Little Pony.
You said you're My Little Pony? Okay, well, wait. If you're going to do that, Danny.
Yeah, fire away. Ooh.
My little pony, my little pony. My little pony. I used to wonder what friendship could be.
My Little Pony, we use that term because you told me once, you said, well, I was watching the FA Cup final in 1987. You were watching My Little Pony. And I've actually never really watched the program.
That's not true, Dan.
But the point is that
that's not what Mrs. Page, your mother, says.
I think when a lot of people get into the game in the United States, they think, oh, United have Rooney and Van Persie. They obviously are going to, go on and dominate teams they play. But I think what we've learned in recent years, especially with what's happened with Barcelona, this also can happen at the major international tournaments too. I look back to Italy winning the World Cup in 2006, is that it's not about those flashy and wide players. And to me, success in world football now is more about the 4 players in the middle of the park. your 2 central defenders,
so hold on.
and your 2 center backs.
So what you're saying, Danny, is it's not about the flash; it's about the foreplay.
It's about the.
It's all about the foreplay.
It's about.
But you got to learn that in life.
It's about the substance and not the.
It's
style.
not about just the scoring. It's about the foreplay.
Results in Europe, especially, are about substance and not style. And United, not like they have loads of style, but they do have two of probably the 6 or 8 most talented attacking players in the tournament.
All right, so outside of Ryan
Rooney
Giggs, who are you talking about?
in Rooney and Van Persie. But they have 0 as far as steel and creativity in midfield within one player. Now, Mata's creative, but there isn't a player that can do multiple things. Their central defense is shambolic. Their central defense would leak loads of goals in the Greek Super League. Okay?
I'm going to stop you right there. Because what you're saying, we're just rehashing what we talk about week in and week out about Man United.
Yeah.
They're a very average team.
Yes.
We're not talking about the real issue with Man United.
What is that?
The real issue is that they are a team that has been struggling for the last few years, even though they won the title last year. Let's talk about it.
Well, the year before they finished on 89 points and lost the title. That's not struggling.
Defensively, this team has been struggling. The year before last, Wayne Rooney was the top scorer in the Premier League, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he was.
Last year, Robin Van Persie was the top scorer in the Premier League. So they have been relying on these 2 players to do the heavy lifting for this team, despite the fact this team has had serious defensive frailties and is aging badly. You know how some people age badly? I mean, really, I saw Jane Fonda the other day. Now, I'm no fan of Jane Fonda because, of what she did during the Vietnam War and everything else, although, I have respect for her.
What did she do during the Vietnam War? She
sat in a North Vietnamese anti-aircraft gun and pointed it at American bombers.
Why'd she do that?
Because she was a big anti-war. Where have you been?
Well, I wasn't alive then, and I actually follow history closely.
But look, anyway, I have grudging respect for her for other things, but let me put it to you this way. She's aging very well. Would you know she's nearly 80 years old?
Jane Fonda is not 80 years old,
She's 79.
She's no way she's
She
80
is.
years old.
She's 79 or 76. She just
First she was 80. Now
well,
she's 79.
Anyway, she's close to falling to bits. I mean, let's be honest.
Right.
So, you wouldn't know it because she looks great. But there are other people that you look at and you say, I'm not even going to use names because it's unfortunate, but I don't want to insult people. But I was talking to a gentleman who I know very well, and I was convinced this guy had to have been at least 20 or 25 years older than I am because I look so young. In point of fact,
get to the point.
He was younger than I was.
Okay.
And he's just aged really badly. The point I'm making is that Man United players have aged very well, but they've reached a point where we've been excusing it by saying, oh, well, yes, they've got lots of experience. They've really got an experienced midfield and an experienced defense. And there comes a point when all those years of experience equals old and can't keep up anymore. And that's where they are. The aging has finally caught up with them, Dan.
I think you did hit correctly at the opening of the segment, though, when you talked about...
Was that when I covered my belch?
Yeah, exactly. When you talked about really the lack of self-belief, the lack of spirit, that is what would guide this team to the top point total each of the last 4 seasons. Because remember, with City, they lost on goal difference. So technically, 4 seasons prior now, I think, they've had the top... Chelsea was in there once. But they've been right at the top.
Because they have been able to turn to the great wizard.
Yeah, exactly.
Every year, who's been there to drive them on. A man who himself
is
is
Moyes then, the Tin Man?
The man who is, in fact, 875...
Is he the cowardly lion?
875 years old, but doesn't look a day over 60. Yeah. I mean, a guy who never ages, a guy who will live forever flying around sucking the blood of the living, Sir Alex Ferguson. He has been able to drive this team on with the power of his own personality. The greatest manager in football history, and that's coming from a Liverpool supporter.
One of our favorite Liverpool supporters has a tweet for me here. Did I cut you off or just...
No, go ahead. I'm blabbling.
Andres Koziel says they needed Howard Webb today. Too bad Moyes is not BFF with referees like Fergie.
All right,
wow.
We're having a good discussion, a little informal today. World Soccer Radio, Sports Byline USA. Nick and Danny with you. Was it Man United's worst European day today, or what? I don't think it was, by the way. Would have been their worst European day, I think, if they'd lost 2-0 at home to Olympiacos.
I said Champions League, not Europe. We'll talk about it on the other side of the break.
We'll be right back.
Do.
All right, Danny, there you go.
Echo and the Bunny Man.
Well done, Danny. Welcome back to the show, folks. World Soccer Radio, Sports Byline USA. Nick and Danny with you, 800-878-PLAY. 800-878-PLAY. Was it Man United's worst European day today? I would say no.
Well, you've seen a lot more. I qualified this to the Champions League, My Little Pony era.
Actually, let me just interrupt you 1 minute.
Fine.
I think in light of what happened in Munich, I don't think...
Yeah, you shouldn't really have that discussion.
No. I'm just saying that I think, if we put the sport in perspective, that's probably a bad thing to say.
It is. That's why I said Champions League, Nick.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm with you. Their worst Champions League day, and I mean no disrespect, please.
Is it their worst Champions League day?
Munich
That's why I said that.
Yeah. So okay, I'm with you. Yes.
So here's a couple tweets here. Ray Durasco at Ray Durasco 2 says a couple years ago when Man United didn't advance out of group stage, remember they would expect it to. They lost to FC Basel at home on the final day. I think that this reminds me of 2 days for Man United in the Champions League in the My Little Pony era, and that are the 2 finals against Barcelona.
Yeah.
When they were just comprehensively beaten, and you just looked and you said, this is not a good team.
It's not as good
but
as you
this
think it is.
isn't Barcelona in Rome, and this isn't Barcelona at Wembley. This is the runaway winner of the Greek League. Yes, in a difficult venue, but this is Man United. Chelsea are going to go to the most difficult atmosphere in Europe tomorrow, and they will win by 2 goals.
What do you think Greek, Danny?
What about?
What comes to mind?
Yogurt?
Sex in naughty places, ancient cultures,
but
not
Santorini, Mykonos,
but not necessarily the best football league in the world.
No.
So,
and the environment's tough,
you.
but again, I think Chelsea are going into an environment. Galatasaray's venue is the loudest in the world.
Do you really think yogurt first?
No, it just came to mind. I'm tired.
Okay,
Okay. Galatasaray's venue is the most difficult venue in the world to play in noise-wise. Okay, Chelsea will win there. All right, going against the likes of Drogba and Wesley Sneijder. Today, United were beaten by an Arsenal lone E who had an absolute wonder goal. But 19-year-old Joel Campbell, if Ray Carroll had actually been in goal,
would have been very embarrassing. Roy Carroll.
Roy Carroll, I'm sorry.
Would have been very embarrassing. But look, we talk about the problems at United. It's very, very simple. This is an aging team that has lost their spiritual leader and their motivator. And Moyes is unable to do that because, number one, this isn't his team. Number two, he doesn't know really how to. And this is, in some degree, a failing that is avoidable and should have been dealt with by now by Sir Alex Ferguson.
It's Alex's fault.
Moyes, which is that David Moyes doesn't know how to best utilize the players that he has. He doesn't know the right formations. Now, Danny, we're hearing, if I'm not mistaken,
what's this?
A little whining.
Can I ask you a question
Yeah.
first before we go to Robin?
Yeah.
Champions League, United, what was the worst day? Those 2 finals, probably.
Without doubt, because they were so soundly beaten. I mean,
they were so soundly
they
beaten.
weren't really even in the game. I mean, it was boys and men.
But this kind of result 5 years ago we would have thought was unfathomable.
Really?
Yeah, away in the round of 16 to Olympiacos?
Not away.
They would have won 3-1.
No, not away. That's just it. Not away. If this was at Old Trafford, then I think we could be calling this their worst Champions League day ever. Okay? But it wasn't. It was away in Greece, albeit in Greece to a Greek team. They expect them to do better.
Let's see what Chelsea does and use that as a comparison.
Okay, there you go. But let's talk about it. Rio Ferdinand has come out a week or 2 ago and said that players don't know where they're supposed to play. David Moyes posts a team sheet right before the match. No one knows who's going to be out there. No one knows what formation they're going on. Basically, he's putting up his hands saying, wait a minute, sir, what do I do next? And he's not getting the response that he needs. Robin Van Persie, who we'll call Robin Van Peed off today, came out, Danny, and what did he say?
Yeah, Robin Van Persie went to some really great lengths to criticize. I don't know if he's criticizing Moyes. I don't know if he's criticizing his teammates. But basically what Van Persie is unhappy about today, and he said this to a Dutch television station in an interview after the match, because obviously, what?
I like gold.
No?
Okay.
The
look of it, the feel of it.
The reason why you speak the truth to a Dutch station or to your national station is because that if The British press doesn't like it. Oh, the translation
Yeah,
is
right.
a little bit
You
off.
thi- and also, how many people really watch Dutch television? How many people are in Holland? 5?
I mean, I like
6?
going to Holland. I love it.
Well, then there's
I
7
love
when they're
gold.
when you. Gold.
So, anyway, what he said was he's unhappy that United players are in the spaces he's meant to operate in.
Yeah.
Now, I understand that. I understand him being frustrated, but I don't think he can speak out like that when in the final 15 minutes of the game, he misses a chance from 8 yards out, blasting it over the bar when he's clean through on goal.
Agree.
You don't have the
Agree.
right to do
Agree.
that when you miss that chance.
Everyone talks about Wayne Rooney signing a massive new contract and he's the spiritual leader of the team and he's growing it. Well, if you're a leader of the team, and I hate to use my
He's
team,
not a leader.
hate to
He's
use
not a
my team,
vocal leader.
Liverpool, as an example, Steven Gerrard is the leader of the team. As old as he is, he will pick the team up by the scruff of the neck if he has to, and he will drive them forward. So sadly, he's like an old dog. As he's getting older,
Yeah,
the more
he
he
is.
runs, he kind of falls over and stuff, and his
He
legs
does,
fly
yeah.
out from underneath him and stuff. But he's wonderful. He's got his brain, his body may be 800 years old, but his brain is only 19.
Well-
I'm not seeing that sort of leadership from anyone at Man United right now. So the players are turning to the manager for leadership, and the manager is
nothing
not
there.
giving it to them. And the players are not able to do it themselves. They're not able to self-motivate, which I find very bizarre given the huge payroll that these guys are on. But that is the way it is. Now, that is a failing top to bottom. So you cannot blame Moyes for what the players don't do on the pitch. Robin
But
Van
it's his
Persie
fault.
missing sitters
The
and
buck
everything
stops
else.
at a certain
But you can
point.
blame him for not being able to motivate the team, not playing the team to its efficient best, not giving. One of the things that you learn about management and leadership, Danny, and as you turn 17 and 18 years old, you will learn these sorts of
20
things.
next week,
Um,
actually.
One of the things that you learn is that
Look at this, I have hair on my
is
chest.
is
I'm
that
so
you
excited.
want to put people in a position to succeed. You don't ever want to put people in a position to fail. David Moyes is putting his players out right now in a position to fail.
No. He put himself in a position to fail by taking over July 1st, by completely bumbling up his transfer business.
Yeah.
Because remember at Everton,
It was
you
Fellaini.
you chase at Everton, you chase one target at a time.
Right.
At the big clubs, you chase 5 at a time,
Right.
and you get one. Okay, he put himself in this
give
position.
himself
And you
one.
know what? The media seems to like David Moyes in general.
He's a lovely
so we
guy.
give him, yeah. But you know what? I'm done with that. Okay, Moyes, and here's a couple tweets to this. Nikhil Honda, at Nick's Honda, that's Handa, says, I think David Moyes should resign. Wow, that's a nice statement. Bernie Wilkinson, Bernie J, Chelsea Sporter says, while Moyes has some blame, the players are not doing their jobs. Rio Ferdinand jumps and turns away from the second goal. But to me, it is Moyes.
Is Moyes putting them in the position to succeed? That's the question. By the way, Sky Italia yesterday were reporting that Sir Alex Ferguson offered the Man United job to Carlo Ancelotti before it was offered to David Moyes.
Really?
That is a very interesting fact.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, the fact that he's offering.
Let me back that up. That's a very interesting statement. I have no idea if it's a fact. It's what Sky Italia are reporting.
Yeah.
That doesn't make it a fact.
Yeah,
It makes
I've seen
Right.
Sky Italia report some whoppers.
Like Berlusconi's bunga bunga parties. Who would have believed that?
Oh, yeah.
Wait a
jeez.
minute.
I
How come we
believe it.
weren't
They
invited,
could-
by the way? I
seriously.
have no idea.
I don't know. Here's one. My
Is he having one of those in jail right now? Because it kind of takes
just-
on a
can
different
we just
connotation,
move
doesn't
on
it?
from
If
your
you're in
like
jail
from
and
your
you're gonna
talk
have
of like the brothels and the
if you're in,
the
if you're in jail and you're gonna have a bunga bunga party, it's
no one
probably not
knows
what you
what
want.
that term means.
Well, no one
It's
knew
a
what it meant.
British
then.
term.
No, it's
and-
what Berlusconi used to call his sex
Really?
parties when he would invite all of his old cronies over and they'd bring in all these young prostitutes from across Europe. They would call it bunga bunga parties.
guy is
He is
sick.
listen,
He's insane.
Berlusconi is the type of guy that older guys like I really look to and say, one day I could be like
you.
that. Yeah.
Here's my top performer today on Twitter. You guys are just blowing us up with tweets. It's absolutely fantastic. But it's a regular listener of the show. It's at PuckLusty10. And he tweeted us 10 minutes after we started. And he said, quote, I'm here, ... taking the medicine, #United fan.
Yeah.
Takes a lot to be here. You know?
It does.
I think you've been through it for a few years as a Liverpool guy now.
I've been through
You
it.
know?
But I want to separate a number of things. Number one is I'm allowed to gloat and I'm allowed to have a little fun with it. That's number one. Number two is I'm going to try to give you my honest thoughts about it outside of the gloating and having a little fun. And number three is there are certain lines that I will never cross with, with Man United or any team, by the way. And we're talking about, obviously Munich and Hillsborough and all these sorts of things.
Yeah.
They're really the fans that cross the line like to places they like to go. I will never go there, by the way, because underneath it all, I have a fundamental respect for everybody in this world. Okay, except for scumbags. Okay, but
Berlusconi.
no, I love him. So yeah, I can have a little fun, but we have to talk about it honestly and try to really figure out what the problem is and take a look. And I know it's going to be tough for fans because United are going to have to rebuild in the summer and they're not going to bounce back immediately. And the reason for that is because the other teams are going to strengthen further in the summer, and United are likely going to find themselves in a sort of position where they're one of the pack. Unfortunately for United fans, you've had it so good for so many years, but these things are cyclical, and it's inevitable because people don't live forever.
That was a long cycle, though.
Unless you're Alex Ferguson.
Right. Sucking the blood of Merseysiders.
Yeah, that's where all these managers that disappear go. Apparently, Ferguson comes into their room at night, bites them.
I'm just having these images of like you and I, we're in The Walking Dead, and we're like cruising around with our machine guns through a barren Georgia road, and then like Ferguson comes out, Pep Guardiola attacking us.
All right, when we come back, we'll turn our attention to the domestic game. We're going to talk Chivas USA again. Good Lord, Danny. But this time we're going to look ahead.
Well, it was just basically our preview progression is going with the teams with the worst record.
Oh, alphabetical, right?
No, worst record.
C.
Worst record last year. Fewest points.
So
DC United should have been first. We're going to have them on later in the week. They finished with like 14 points.
Well, doesn't Chivas come before DC? C?
No, Chivas. No.
Is there an A or a B?
No, it's fewest points last season.
All right, we're going to go to break. We'll be right back.
Jeez, man.
Want to stay in touch with your favorites?
All right, welcome back to the show. I don't know what that is. That's some sort of porno movie.
We're just
soundtrack.
cruising, man. Yeah, it's a
Right.
good track.
Hey, welcome back to the show. World Soccer Radio, Sports Byline USA. Nick and Danny, we are live in Las Vegas today. If you're watching us on our YouTube feed, you know, one day I'll get with the program here.
You'll understand. It's YouTube, Nick.
YouTube on watchwsr.com.
Yep.
You will see we're in a different sort of set today, and it's a little kind of casual. We're on a couch. It looks like we're in a brothel, and in fact, we are. We're waiting
That's
for
like
our turn.
your buzzwords.
It's going to be a while, but you know, we got at least another 20
You're
20
ridiculous,
minutes.
man.
800-878-PLAY, 800-878-PLAY. Man United, Champions League, that's the discussion. Shall we go to the guest line, Danny, or do you have some tweets?
No, absolutely.
Do you have a
No.
couple
I
tweets?
don't.
All right, well done then.
I think we ran through most of them.
All right, well, let's go to the guest line and welcome our very special guest, Marc Serber.
No guest.
Oh, no guest.
Oh, he's not there. I thought he was calling us.
I thought he said we had a guest. So apparently we have no guest.
I'll have him.
So
I'll have him give us
let's
a
welcome
call.
our very special guest, no guest.
How about that game in Russia today, though? You were listening to that one on the radio? weren't you?
You know,
It is
no.
so tough.
Actually, I have to change. Hold on.
What do you have to say?
I am actually. I've missed a whole thing that I wanted to talk about today. I wanted to talk about the Man United pregame show today on Fox.
You did.
Warren Barton. Now, if you watched this, you would have been
It was
flabbergasted.
It was unbelievable.
Warren Barton said that after Man United's win at Crystal Palace, it was at Selhurst Park, wasn't it, over the weekend? Yes, it was.
Yeah, it was.
Away at Selhurst Park, that they are back. That this team is going to catch Liverpool for the 4th spot in the Premier League now that they've got Van Persie and Rooney back, and that it's good to have them back in the title race. Huh? I mean, I
this
literally
the Greek Super League title race?
I literally did a double take.
Literally.
I'm hearing, you can tune to any punditry anywhere, whether it's America or the UK or whatever. Nobody thinks Manchester United are going to make up 11 points for the 4th spot.
I wish we
But
had
Warren,
that.
but,
I wish we had
I'll
that
find
clip.
it.
All right.
But Warren Barton apparently feels that that Man United are going to catch Liverpool
In 4th.
And he didn't just think maybe. He said, "I'm sure they are."
And that they will be in the title race.
Yeah, unbelievable.
What are you talking about?
I mean, listen, I like Warren. He's a
too.
good guy. I appreciate what he's trying to do. But, you know, there comes a point where there has to be a producer in his ear saying, you know what, don't say things like that. You sound like just a fool.
I wish David Mossy had said something.
Yeah, and Warren Barton is not a fool, by the way, and he knows what he's talking about football. I just don't understand why he would make a statement like that. I just scratch my head.
Yep,
All right, let's go. We apparently do have a guest.
We do have Marc Serber. That was my bad.
Actually, we just we just picked a random guest.
Yeah,
Let's see if it's Marc.
Pulled him
Serber.
off
All right,
the street.
Is this Marc Serber or is this our random guest draw?
This is Marc Serber.
Oh,
Okay,
well,
all
you see, we
right,
won.
all
How about
right.
that? Hey, Marc, how's it going?
It's going very well. How are you guys doing?
Well, it's
Living
a good
the dream.
Yeah, for a guy like me, today's a great day for much joyous celebration. Did you catch Warren Barton's great prognostications today?
Yeah, I heard him say that Man United finally have that anger and that vigor back.
Yeah.
That they were going to catch up to the top 4, and then he kind of had to eat his words at halftime after what was such a poor display. I mean, Manchester United just sat back way too deep, went east to west, and never really went forward. Never had any link-up play either, and never looked threatening at all. So it was a tough game to watch, and certainly not what we expected after the Crystal Palace game.
But this is what I don't understand, Mark. And, you know, look, there are guys out there, and Warren Barton is not one of them. I want to make sure I draw a line under that. Warren Barton has been following football for as long as I've been.
Long time.
Okay? Warren Barton is about the same age as I am, maybe a bit younger.
Yeah.
But, I mean, he's a player. He's played for Newcastle. He's played at least
Incredible
half,
perspective, amazing career.
At least a half a game for England. I mean, he knows what he's doing, all right? This is not a dummy. For a guy to make a statement like that, to me, is astounding. I expect that from the people globally who have been following football for the last 10 years, who are 12 years, who are only used to seeing Man United win. I can understand that sort of statement and that sentiment. I don't hold it against him. I understand it. All you've ever seen is like, you know, you open the door, it's a beautiful day, the sky is blue. Well, Man United always win. There is a time when eventually the world will end. If you're a Man United fan, world has ended. Mark, I can't get it, but, you know, I'll leave Warren to explain it. We'll try and get him on the show. But are you a Man United supporter, Mark?
I actually am a Man United supporter. I didn't want to be when I was younger, but then I went to Old Trafford and just had a surreal experience. And ever since then, I've been a Man United fan. But to be fair, my favorite team in the entire world is AC Milan.
Okay,
So that's
but
the
hold
team
on.
I'll support
What was
till
your
I die.
surreal experience at Man United? Was it being fleeced at the gates for expensive ticket prices?
Oh gosh. Nick, you're horrible.
Okay, I'll let
Mark,
you go.
Mark,
All right.
what in your mind is the solution for this team? You're obviously a well-known soccer broadcaster. You've worked for Fox Soccer plenty in past years. You do a lot of the USL games and MLS as well, obviously, doing Chivas last year. So in your mind, tactically or just in an organizational sense, what can United do
Before
to
you
turn
do that,
this
Mark,
around?
let me just fill in for him. Anthrax. Okay, now
I'm
go.
sorry, I'm having trouble hearing you. Can you say that again?
Yeah, I mean, what can United do to turn this whole thing around, Mark?
I really think that United need to play with a big team mentality, and that's something that they've seemed to lost since David Moyes has come aboard. One thing that Tim Howard said that he enjoys playing under Roberto Martinez is that Roberto Martinez comes in each week and says, these are our strengths and these are what we're going to play to. And he said that when he played under David Moyes, well, he didn't say this exactly, but this is what he was intimating, that David Moyes was always thinking about the other team, was always saying, this is what the other team is good at, this is what they bring to the table, this is what we have to be worried about. And Tim Howard said that they were always looking over their shoulder. And if that's the kind of mentality that he brought from a club like Everton to Manchester United, then Manchester United, which is a club that thinks that we're going to stick to our strengths and outplay everyone, if that's the mentality that David Moyes brought to Manchester United, then they were doomed from the start. And they're going to be doomed until David Moyes changes that mentality and Manchester United start to believe again that they're going to beat every single team that they play. And we saw that tonight, that I feel that under Sir Alex Ferguson, they came out playing every single game, whether it was away, whether it was home, whether it was in the Champions League. Maybe the first 20 minutes they would be conservative, but then they would go for the kill, they would go for the throat. And under David Moyes, we saw for 90 minutes that that's something that they were not willing to do. And you saw that even before the game with the admission of Yanuse being left out of the lineup, with the omission of him. I mean, that's a player that would be perfect to come on in a game like this and attack that Olympiacos defense and try and get your team at least an away goal. But they came in way too conservative, and I just think that Moyes lacks that ruthlessness that you need to be a Manchester United coach, and he needs to find it quickly.
Hold on, Mark. So let me get this straight. Because they didn't play a 19-year-old in his first big season in the Premier League, who was supposedly going to be the great savior of this club, that's somehow setting them up for failure? I'm going to say to you, name for me, outside of Wayne Rooney and Robin Van Persie, how many world-class players United have on that team right now?
Well, they had a ton of world-class players, and I still think they do, but they're either
who are they? Who are they?
or they're having terrible seasons.
Who are they?
Take a look at players like Valencia, who has looked world-class at times, and now he's able to get down the wing. He's able to beat people, but he's either setting crosses way over to the far side of the box, or he's slicing them out of bounds. And United's wing play has always been a staple, but they've been able to cut in. This year, it's just been cross after cross after cross.
Are you telling me that you think Antonio Valencia is a world-class player? I mean, come on, he's a good player, but he's not a world-class player.
Times where he's been world-class, but I'm saying not that he's world-class, but that the level of every single player has seemed to drop this season, or that they've been played out of position.
He is right. He is right about that. The level of every player
I think what you're finding is that this team is not nearly as good as people thought this team was. Last year, the quality of opposition in the Premier League was not good. The Man United team was also not good last year. A lot of this was made up by the fact that Robin Van Persie was fit the entire year, was able to knock in a whole boatload of goals, which papered over an awful lot of the problems on this squad, on this team. And you know, the fact of the matter is, a lot of these players are not as good as people think they are. They need to retool. They need to go out. They need to get a boatload of really good players. They don't seem to be afraid to spend money. They're going to have to do it. If they can do that, and then Moyes can instill some sort of belief in them, then I think Man United can be back. In the meantime, I think their league position is about correct and about shows where I think this squad of Man United is. They're a upper mid-table squad right now. Mark, I don't see them as any better than that.
No, and I completely agree with you, and I think that obviously Sir Alex Ferguson was able to get the best out of each player that he had. I do think that the younger players that he brought up, that he assured everybody were going to be players for the future, such as Tom Cleverley, such as Chris Smalling, who had a nightmare today, either aren't quite there yet or just aren't going to cut it. And as you alluded to earlier in the show and just said now, they didn't buy in the transfer market. They needed to be more active. And the bottom line is that last year they were able to be more ruthless, get the lead, hold on to the lead, and win those games. But this year they're falling behind, and they don't have that belief that they can come back. And one of the biggest problems is that they just don't have the quality that they used to have in the side. And like you said, they bought in players, but when they bring in the players, they either tend to play them out of position or not put them in places where they can succeed. And so that's been one of the biggest problems for Manchester United. I hate to bring up kind of a football analogy because I know the listeners of this show
know
soccer and don't need other sports, but coming from Washington, D.C., where I grew up, it reminded me when Sir Alex Ferguson left and then the start that David Moyes had, kind of like Joe Gibbs. Joe Gibbs left all of a sudden out of nowhere. Nobody thought that he was going to leave. Everybody thought he was going to remain the coach. And the team looked to be okay. And Gibbs said, I'm leaving. Everything's fine. The team's in good hands. And then, of course, everything crumbled. And if you're 20 years old or younger, you've only seen the Redskins go to the playoffs 3 times. And so you just kind of wonder, what did Sir Alex Ferguson know, just as I thought back then? What did Joe Gibbs know about this team? And I think Sir Alex Ferguson kind of saw the crossroads. They said, you know what, I'm getting out while I'm on top, and I got that last title, and it's not going to get any better than this. And that's why I think he left, because he saw the inability to bring in players. He saw that the younger players weren't competing or weren't going to be up to snuff as he thought they were, and I think that they've shown that this year.
All right, listen, unfortunately, we only have like a minute and a half now. Chivas USA, it's kind of a lame duck team at this point. What do we got to look forward to this season, if anything?
I think that Cabrera has come in with clear ideas, and I think that he's bought in a lot of players that can really help this team. If this team's going to make the playoffs, they're going to make one of the last spots, and that's a big if. But when you add in the likes of Mauro Rosales, who obviously saw what he could do at Seattle and the experience of playing at River Plate and Ajax, and then you bring in Agustin Pelletieri, who last played for Racing in Argentina, who's going to really push Osvaldo Minda, who I thought was a bit lackadaisical last season, then you're going to be all right. Also, nobody thought that Batista was going to score goals, and he's been doing well in preseason. They bought in Luke Moore, who's played it with Aston Villa and West Brom, and they also have 2 other forwards in Matthew Fondy, and if they can hold on to Eric Torres, which is a big if, whether or not Guadalajara brings them back, then they have some very good players on this squad. At the same time, they have a nucleus of young players who have a lot of potential but just were unable to cope with MLS, and I believe that if they bring them up, such players such as Carlos Alvarez, who at one time was candidate for Rookie of the Year, kind of fell off toward the end, and a player like Brian De La Fuente, who came in and did a really good job and actually scored 3 goals. And this is a side that if they can keep the nucleus together and continue to bring in savvy veterans. And
Marc, we are sadly out of time. We will have you back to talk about Chivas
Good
USA.
United stuff, too,
Yeah, we apologize
right?
to our listeners. We didn't get to it. We will next time. Marc, thanks so much. World Soccer Radio, Sports Byline USA. We'll be right back.
All right, guys.
was kind of interesting, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Sort of like a musical medley all at the same time.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Huey Lewis in the news, though, to close us out.
All right, that's all right.
Come
I'll
on.
take it. Welcome back to the show, World Soccer Radio. I'd like to apologize to Mark. We invited him on to talk about Chivas, and we ambushed him about Man United.
And any United fan, you're just going to eat him alive.
He's welcome back to the show anytime, and we will have him back on next week
But
specifically
you're just cruel, dude.
to talk about. I was not cruel. But Antonio Valencia...
No, I didn't say you were cruel. I
Yeah,
said you
but-
are cruel.
But Antonio Valencia is not a world-class player. I'm
I
sorry.
agree with you on
I mean,
Can I read a couple tweets?
Oh, yes. go
You
ahead.
know who honestly could have the potential for United to be a world-class player?
Yeah, go ahead. Who?
Chicharito. Okay?
Absolutely.
He never got a shot. And Bernie Wilkinson
Yep.
at Bernie_J says, what about Chicharito? He never seems to play, but he scores each time he's on the pitch. Daniel.
And by the way, Kagawa always played out of position. Always played out of position.
Absolutely. Daniel Smash It DI. Do you guys still think United can make the quarters? I don't think so. They played like blank. The quarters of what? Is there like a Tiddlywinks competition going on?
I'm going to
No,
go.
they can. They
well,
can.
actually, I'm going to go out on a limb here.
You're going to say they will.
I think they're going to get by Olympiacos. They're going to go back to Old Trafford. I think they're going to win. I mean, I think they're going to beat them, and I don't think they're going to concede. They're going to beat them by more than 2-0. Mark my words.
Ray Orozco says, as we close things out, he says this Man United team is loaded with veteran players that have won. Shouldn't matter the manager's mentality.
I agree with that.
Point. Interesting
All right,
point.
I want to hope you enjoyed the show. Thanks so much for being with us today. Kind of a laid-back, different feel today. All right, folks, coming up next on this very network, the one, the only, the legend, that is Mr. Ron Barr. There is only one place you get to hear Ron, and that's right here on the Sports Byline USA Radio Network. Have a great night, stay tuned, and cheers. We'll speak to you tomorrow, 9 p.m. Eastern Time.
There's nothing like it to see them play. We got every Saturday.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, man.